Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn.
So what do we have here? Basically, the most important part is the fact that we bounced off 3600 and we didn't even try to test it once again, and we are continuing to fall from this bounce. Probably one may look at the chart and find this sort of a falling wedge formation. It's not absolutely clear whether there is any kind of technical analysis basis for this formation. You even actually can make sort of falling channel, descending channel as well. But as you know, these days technical analysis works in a weird manner for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, so I wouldn't really rely on that much. However, this is what we see, and technically usually the falling wedges, especially when they are following the growth, they have a very high chance to break upwards. However, in that case, when we were preceded by the massive decrease in price, I would say that it's very likely that we will go down, especially considering the whole negative momentum of the price and price action. So I would think we will have more chances to break this downwards, although there could be some false breaks up and then go down like this. In order to invalidate this, I would think that we shall test and break and hold above at least 3,600, maybe even test a bit higher levels, because again, here is the very important part of the area of the price action, so we couldn't be strong unless we will break it and like really hold above this area. We shall not forget though that this 3,400 is very close to what we looked at before at like 2,800 or $700, when we can just pin it very easily, considering the speed of the fall that we had before this time and this time and even this time. So to move to this area would not take much. I would say it may happen within a few hours. So very easily to be bearish. It's very easy, to be bearish on this market. So we shall mention the traditional market. So finally, after the opening the market, we have the rise in price, and probably after this minimum we'll have the formation of the new high, which will probably a lower high, and the same happens with Dow Jones and S&P 500. So there was a local minimum which was lower than previous one, well, apparently lower than this one, and now we're trying to correct it upwards. So if we'll have a more or less reasonable correction and then go down before that, I don't think that if there is any correlation between traditional markets and Bitcoin, I don't think that before that we'll see any significant drop in price in Bitcoin. But after that, it's very likely to happen. That's why we may have this week or something before this drop to appear in this chart. So I would consider quite of the sideways price action, and only the indicator which I would look as a bearish indicator is that if we will look at the price of the other altcoins, well, all altcoins basically, not other, but most of the altcoins, they all are in the pretty much of the red zone. This 3% of Bitcoin is not that big in order to make everyone make, not everyone, but a lot of them, 11%, 5%, 10%, 6%. So all of them are really going much lower than Bitcoin, and almost none of them outperforming Bitcoin, which means that it's usually one of the signs of the weakness of the market in general, and the following drop in Bitcoin much lower levels. That's it. yesterday we were talking also about some bullish scenario, why it is so promising to expect the Bitcoin going up in the long term. And in fact, if you would consider like ultimate opinion of the bears, when we say, oh, Bitcoin may go to $1 or $2, something like that, just imagine that somebody has, for example, $1 billion wealth, and now this person sees the one of the most promising assets in the field in the earth is dramatically felt to like this ridiculous prices, and in principle that person may use a very small percentage of the overall funds he or she has in order to buy all of the asset, basically, because if like $1 you can spend few, like maybe 10 to 20 million dollars to buy in almost all Bitcoins. So in that case it's a steal, it's a bargain. So a lot of opportunity is here. So probably on the way down to like this ridiculous price levels, there will be huge competition forming in among the investors to buy like $100 or $10. Price will not be people will not let the price go that low. The question is where they will stop. But generally speaking, fundamentally, for example, yesterday I was listening the podcast from Anthony Pompliano of The Chain with Alex Mashinsky, which is the, I think, he's CEO of the Celsius project lending platform on crypto. And the idea, and he told a lot of the things fundamental about the crypto and kind of the system in general. So one can conclude from what he said that currently, as we all know, the very few people, not very, like 1%, less than 1% of the population controls the most of the wealth on the planet. And it means that the current financial system is existing only to serve this biggest wealth, because the regular people are not providing enough capital to make the serving organizations be interested to deal with them. Like if the bank can work with institutional capital, which like 100% more than the private capital, of course bank will deal with this capital instead of the retailers, instead of regular people. So it means that the all existing financial system is not interested to crypto making any progress in future, which also leads to the conclusion that as soon as we will not provide anything disruptive to the current financial system, which would be in favor of this system, not only to take the money from the biggest, wealthiest people and organization, but also to give them some additional profit, then it's unlikely that they will agree and like invest and support this whole crypto space. It's sort of a pessimistic way to look at it. You can also argue that if the mass adoption will be that huge that, let's say, 50% of the planet population will use Bitcoin or crypto in their financial transaction, for example, then the banks would want to have at least some portion of that, and would implement crypto and would do some services and everything like that. So it still will be quite promising, quite progressive. But without one of those factors, it's unlikely that crypto will flourish in the long term. But again, this is just one of the opinions and one of the side of the spectrum. Whatever you would consider, is just your way of look at that. I more prone to think in the previous video way, when we think that it has really great future, because without that everything will be just a bubble like we live in the current financial system. But it's just my opinion, not financial advice, as usual, you know that. So but anyway, to keep this short, this is the expectation and this is the price. I still think that will go low, but probably some side action is expected. We'll see what will happen. Hopefully you will not lose that much money, not FOMO or not fall into FUD when everybody will do such things. Safe trading, guys, and hope to see you tomorrow in the next update. Safe trading again. Goodbye.